Hello, everyone, and welcome to the finals of our Baltimore Modern Open. Cedric Phillips, Craig Krempels. We're here in the booth. Nick Miller down there getting ready to do your feature match right up as both players keep 7. Both players, of course, Ben Friedman on your left playing Dredge, Brad Nelson on your right playing Grixis Death Shadow, number 3 and number 8 overall seed. That's why Ben Friedman has begun things with a stomping ground. We'll see how Nelson wants to move forward on his first turn of the game, and it should be a good one here, Craig.
Yeah, it's all been building to this. This is a great matchup. We're going to see if this unfair angle of using the graveyard is something that, you know, most event people haven't been prepared for this, and we'll see if Brad can overcome it. If there's a player here who you want to put your chips behind, so to speak.
It's Brad.
It was Reed. No, just joking. Yeah, it's Brad piloting a deck like this.
Yeah. Reed couldn't get by Friedman either time they played, even though he had a lot of main deck copies of Scavenging Ooze, had some ley lines with him and some Graph Digger's Cages this weekend. So it does show that the Dredge deck can get through some graveyard hate, especially if the opponent doesn't draw it, or maybe they play maybe more of it. For Nelson, he'll start things off with a Serum Vision, scry 1 to the top and 1 to the bottom. He's at 17 already because of a fetch for Ravnica dual land in Watery Grave. For Friedman, he will sacrifice a Bloodstained Mire. See what he wants to dig up here. He'll go with a basic mountain.
And it's going to be really important for Brad to get one of his fatties on the board in the next, I don't know, 2 turns. It's hard for him to do on the second turn, but definitely got to be there on the 3rd turn.
Yep.
You know, he's got to start pressuring his opponent, maybe turn on the Stubborn Denials in his deck.
Life in the Loam is a slow start here for Ben. Just gets back a Bloodstained Mire and passes the turn back. But now he has his Dredge engine online. Nothing crazy like Cathartic Reunion or Faithless Looting just yet here for Friedman. So Nelson maybe can breathe a sigh of relief thus far. Nelson's pace can be slow and methodical at times, especially when a lot is on the line.
Well, and it's important to have a game plan for the next couple of turns.
Mm-hmm.
You know, nothing much has happened in this game, but you have to know, how is this going to play out over the next 2 turns? What are my different options? Which one is the best one for me to take?
Serum Visions will allow Nelson to draw a card, and now he'll be scrying 2 yet again. 1 on top, maybe. There we are. It's fun watching people scry. You never know when they're ready to go.
Yeah. Yes. No.
No. Nelson going to cycle Street Wraith. He wants that card right away. He'll pay 2 life to get it. And now here's Polluted Delta. Blood Crypt is going to bring Nelson down to 12.
All right, we'll see if we can get Death Shadow online right now.
Mm-hmm. Let's make it 10. Let's have Snapcaster Mage in hand.
Or any of the Delve guys are online too.
Well, there's Death Shadow.
I like it.
He did his job. He got a big creature out there pretty early. Narcomoeba, Stinkweed Dip, and a second Narcomoeba. Pretty favorable Dredge there for Ben Friedman.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Just free 1/1s.
Couple 1/1s and his best Dredger are now in the graveyard. And that's a Bloodstained Mire. And Friedman does have a copy of Dark Blast in hand in case that were to come up. Let's head over to Brad Nelson, who's going to very slowly and cautiously untap here, trying to figure out what's going on that side of the table. And he'll draw a card. Bloodstained Mire is what he picked up, which means that Death Shadow can grow.
And so far, this looks like a pretty tough spot for Ben. Just not a whole lot going yet. I mean, one good dredge and he could really start rolling here, but This is not the start I expected out of him.
Well, the first stretch was pretty good. Maybe the second one will be too, but I don't see any faithless looting, cathartic reunion, none of that stuff. And he did keep 7.
That's the question: is what's in his hand that he kept?
Mm-hmm. For now, Death Shadow is rumbling in.
You know, if you told a dredge player what they're going to do is pass on turn 1, cast Life from Loam on turn 2, and then pass on turn 3.
Mm-hmm. Not all that exciting.
Yeah, they'd be like, ugh. On the flip side, Ben is in the finals, and I'm in the booth.
That's true. That's true. I'm here with you.
Yeah.
You're not flying solo.
Backup pilot.
Yeah. All right, so Death Shadow's going to hit for a little bit, not a lot of it. And now Brad will just pass the turn back. We got a little weird game brewing up here, folks.
Yeah, I think Brad's sitting on Snapcaster Mage.
That's a good one to sit on.
And potentially Stubborn Denial.
Dredge 5. There's a prize? No, I don't think there is. No prize amalgam. Faithless Looting is the relevant one.
Oh, yeah.
There's a Stinkweed Epidocmore Salvage and also a...
Thug.
Yeah, Thug down there. Ben's going to attempt to flashback Faithless Looting. This could get hit by a Stubborn Denial. And with the way that Brad is holding his hand and moving his other, it leads me to believe that he's considering it.
Yeah, no reason to save it.
Well, there's Conflagrate.
Conflagrate. One reason to save it.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen the Conflagrate yet, and this to me is the point where it's dangerous to let the dredge deck really start doing whatever it wants to do. All right, Brad's going to let this happen.
5 cards, Bloodghast and Prize Amalgam among them, and now 4 cards on the way. Cathartic Reunion, Copperline Gorge, Conflagrate, Narcomoeba. Wow.
And 2 more prized amalgams.
Jeez. All right. Ben's board went from nothing to something real fast. And he can play a mountain to get back to Bloodghast. Boy, that's a heck of a turn right there.
Yeah, you get frisky with the Bloodghast if he wants to.
Mm-hmm. The dynamic has changed in a big, big way.
I mean, that's the dredge deck, right? I mean, I thought it was so bad for Ben. And 1 dredge, a little Faithless Looting.
Now look where we are.
Yeah. 12 points of power? It's crazy.
I mean, this is the appeal. Once you get this going, it's hard for the opponent to stop it unless something like Anger of the God shows up or some way to exile all the creatures once they get on the battlefield. Because those Prize Amalgams and those Bloodghasts, they're going to work hand in hand to make sure that they just keep coming on back.
Yeah, relentless.
Yep. And then the ability to conflagrate someone out is certainly one of the other aspects of this deck that people do enjoy. Nelson's down to 8, which means Death Shadow has grown. And Ben playing very conservative with these Narcomoebas, not attacking with any of them.
I can't blame him. I think in a position like this, it looks like as long as he doesn't die in the next 2 or 3 turns, there's no way Brad's going to just stop these zombie vampire hordes.
Not going to stop those. Not going to stop all the conflagrates. You know, the loaming to keep building towards the conflagrates, all that stuff.
Yep.
And Ben is sitting with a lot of cards in hand right now, too. So a lethal conflagrate, it's not very hard for him to accomplish. This, again, is what makes this dredge deck so appealing. Got off to a really slow start.
Yep.
Didn't do much of anything, and all of a sudden, his board exploded. And now this is what it looks like. Now it's Nelson who's trying to figure out how the heck he gets out of this situation.
He's really going through all the possibilities. Got to use some of this mana at the end of the turn.
Got to do something.
Yeah.
He can't just untap and do nothing. He passed with 3 mana available. And so you got to imagine, you know, Snapcaster Mage or Thought Scour, or something's got to happen.
Yeah, and the game's going to end in the next couple of turns.
Yep.
Obviously, can't bring those cards with you to the next game.
And it looks like he's going to be prompted here in just a minute. See the head judge wavering behind Brad. It is the finals, but you still have to play in a timely manner. That's Fatal Push. I think Brad might be trying to figure out a way that he can steal it. He's going to take at least one.
And it's not impossible with Ben at 15.
No, it's not. It's just hard.
He's got to get Death Shadow to the maximum or about to the maximum.
Yep.
Have a Lightning Bolt, maybe a Snapcaster Mage to cast it again.
Yep.
But first he's just got to clear all these Narcomoebas out of the way.
Yeah, to be able to actually deal damage, because now he's brought himself down to 5. So the deck's got to be really willing to cooperate now. See, he does have a Snapcaster Mage in his hand.
And he's got to be so close.
Yeah, the way that he's doing math right now, yeah. He's got a bolt in there. You see the Watery Grave, which can bring him down to 3, which means the Death Shadow would be a 10. 13 minus 3 is a 10. Oh, look at him going to work.
It looks like 2 Snapcaster Mages in his
Yeah.
hand.
All right, their Snapcaster Mage inability to flash anything back. He'll draw Tassiger. That can't be all that relevant.
Well, now the question is, does he think he can try to wait a whole nother turn? No,
Yeah, no way.
no way.
All right, he's going to pick him up. So Ben Friedman's going to win game number 1 here over Brad Nelson. Dredge went from nothing to a whole lot of something real quick.
Yeah, that was really a plotting start.
Yep. For both players, really.
Yeah.
I mean, for what it's worth,
No.
Brad got off to a decent enough start by getting Death Shadow on the battlefield, I think, on turn 2.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the biggest Death Shadow in the world, but he got it out there.
No, it's a good start.
And a credit to Ben, that game, he could have been a little more aggressive with the Narcomoebas, but he wasn't, and it paid off.
Yeah.
Had he gotten a little hasty.
Yeah, one less Narcomoeba. And it looked like Brad might have been able to close out that game.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a look at the sideboards here. And we're going to start with Brad Nelson, who's got 3 Ceremonious Rejection, 2 Collective Brutality, 2 Nile Spellbound, 2 Surgical Extraction, 2 Stubborn Denial, a Kozilek's Return, is a Static Caster, a Kolaghan's Command, and a Liliana, the Last Hope. What do we like?
Well, the obvious ones, Surgical Extraction and the Nile Spellbombs. These are the graveyard hate. He's got to draw 1, probably 2 of these cards in order to be able to fight Ben in these games. The stubborn denials might come in. Brad's going to be on the play now, so he's going to get Fatty down, back it up with a stubborn denial, try to stop, cathartic reunion, faithless looting cards like that.
Other side of things here. For Ben Friedman, 4 Leyline of the Void, 3 Engineer Explosives, 3 Maelstrom Pulse, 3 Thoughtseize, a Vengeful Pharaoh, and an Ancient Grudge. You said you like those Leylines and probably the Vengeful Pharaoh too, yeah?
Yeah, I think in certain matchups, they have deck lists here, so Ben might be afraid of cards like Leyline of the Void in certain matchups, and he would bring in these Maelstrom Pulses. Here he's got perfect information to work with, so he doesn't have to bring in those cards. Engineered Explosives seems kind of interesting against, 1 casting cost threats. I don't know if he necessarily needs it.
It's good against Death Shadow, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Against Skirmac Angler and Tasker, not so much, and that's maybe what Vengeful Pharaoh will be able to mop up, but I don't think he needs EE. If he does, maybe 1.
Yeah.
You don't need a ton. And again, you have access to your opponent's deck list, so you know what they're working with. So both players working with very, very good information here. Not sure how the other will sideboard, but we'll find out soon enough as these players do sideboard and shuffle up here for game number 2. While they get ready, we're talking about Tarmodai here one last time this weekend. Help you to keep track of your creature's power and toughness in style. And with any luck, you'll be able to get a Tarmodi?
Sure.
Tarmodi hoodie.
Keep you warm on a cold winter's night?
Yeah, from the Craig Krempel's line of clothing.
Yeah, CK.
Oh, we're calling it the CK line.
I'm going to make some jeans too.
Is there going to be any problems with Calvin Klein with this, or are you going to be okay?
Well, maybe I'll shoot him a phone call first.
Okay, fair enough. Single dice and sets of 4 available now. Go to StarCityGames.com/Tarmodai. Pick up your Tarmo dice today, as we're going to learn a little bit more about 40-card Friedman over there, who's 1 win away from getting another open win.
That is not a small hat.
It's a pretty big hat, actually. 24-year-old member of Team Metagame Gurus from Baltimore, so he's right in his hometown. Does a lot of winning in general, but doing pretty darn good here as well. 5 invitational top 8s for Ben Friedman as well. Young kid, very good at the game. Got the nickname 40-card Friedman because he used to dislike playing Limited a lot. You can find him writing fiction or hitting the gym, and apparently he's been known to not eat or eat a lot. I have been with him at Chipotle. He is an abuser of how many beans you can get without being charged.
Sure, yeah. Can I get some extra rice?
Yeah.
Can I get some extra beans?
Yep.
A little more sauce on that?
I've seen the extra bean tactic from Ben. Now, as a hater of beans, I felt like as though I was giving my beans away to him.
Okay.
But
you're okay with?
Yeah, he wanted black beans and pinto beans.
Okay.
But he wanted more.
Now, does he get the burrito bowl?
He does get the bowl.
Because he wants so much that there's no way you could actually roll it up inside the burrito.
Correct.
Yeah.
He wants his value. And I can appreciate someone getting their value from Chipotle, but bean overload.
And I love the tractors on the shirt in this picture.
It's a great picture.
It's great. Yeah. Because these are people who you see in walks of life, and you're like, yeah, this guy's not going to a Magic tournament.
Oh, but he is.
But he is. And he's ridiculous at the game.
Yeah, that's right. That's 40-card Friedman right there, folks. And he's currently up a game right now over Brad Nelson as these players are going to try to finish sideboarding up here. There's only one Ben Friedman, trust me. That's probably for the best. That's probably for the best. 10th top 8 here this weekend with 1 W, maybe a second one here on the way.
Yeah, he's real close. Only one Ben Friedman.
Yeah. And
it'd be weird if he had a twin brother and his parents also named that person Ben Friedman.
He's got a younger brother.
Okay.
Yeah. Met him at Pro Tour Hawaii. Nice guy.
But with a different name.
Different name for sure.
Okay.
Different name for sure. It's Bax. I can't remember it off the top of my head.
That's all right. I'm terrible with names.
I'm generally good at remembering names and things, and it's just not coming to me right now. He was quiet. He was quiet. He came to Hawaii for the Pro Tour last year. His brother did.
You know where it's awesome?
What's that?
You know where it is awesome?
Hawaii.
Hawaii,
yeah.
Just spectacular.
There's been a little conversation about moving all of the Pro Tours maybe to, well, they floated the idea of what if we moved all the Pro Tours to Seattle, something. Like someone brought this up on social media. We just move them all, just have all the Pro Tours in Seattle and, increase the prize pool or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just have them all be in Hawaii. How about that?
Yeah, just leave all of the setup, everything.
All of it in the Hawaii
all the
Convention
promotional
Center.
stuff.
Yeah. Just leave it all in Hawaii. Don't. Yeah, like you said, leave all the stuff there. And just I've been to 4 of the Hawaii PTs.
Okay.
I've played in 4 of them. Just, why would he go anywhere else?
Yeah.
It's not like other places are bad. Nashville's cool. I think a lot of people enjoyed Nashville from what I've heard from them. But no one's disliked Hawaii.
Yeah, I've only been to Hawaii once.
No.
Easily my favorite Magic trip.
Yeah. And I've done bad at every Hawaii Pro Tour, by the way. Like, really bad.
Yep.
Really bad. I have an 05. I have a 1.5. I have a 2.4. Just horrible in all of them. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think I punted the last round playing for money. Didn't care.
No.
I mean, obviously I wasn't happy that I punted, but
Yeah.
you're in Hawaii.
Let's go to the beach.
Yeah.
Surf's up. And Ben Friedman, he likes the beach. Went to the North Shore, had some fun out there. Food's great.
Yep.
Everything's great.
The people.
Yeah, everything's great.
No, like, the people are unbelievably friendly. You see it in movies and stuff, and you're just like, corny movie stereotypes.
Yeah, it's a character.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
you go there, and everyone's just so happy to see you.
Wouldn't you be? You live in Hawaii.
Yeah, maybe.
It's nice every day.
I've been to other tropical islands.
It's nice
Bunch
every
of
day.
grumpy locals.
It's nice every day. I'd always be happy. Both players going to take a look at 7 here. Nelson will be on the play. See if he can keep 7 yet again. Nope. How about Friedman? He's happy enough.
Is that the shrug that you give when your hand's just ridiculous?
Yeah, you try to fake
You're
it.
like, okay,
you try to fake like your hand's not the nuts.
yeah, I guess I'll keep this hand.
Are you a snap keep? If your hands, do you snap keep at all? If your hand's awesome, do you do any of that stuff? Or are you just like, oh, I guess I'll keep. Turn 1, you're dead.
Yeah.
You know? Turn 1, best possible. Turn 2, best possible. Maybe I should have mulliganed. I don't know. I played a match against Josh Ravitz
Okay.
back in 2004.
Happy Josh Ravitz.
Yeah, he like hemmed and hawed about keeping his hand. It's the first time I ever met Josh. He hemmed and hawed.
Oh, man.
There's Leyline of the Void. About keeping his hand during Kamigawa Limited. And then he just went like, turn 1, nothing. Turn 2, like, good card. Turn 3, Kabutomoth. Turn 4, Nagao. You know,
Yeah.
Turn 5, kill your thing. Something like that. And it's just like, what were you even doing? He's like, I was just messing with you. I'm like, dude, come on. Grow up.
Happy Josh Ravitz.
Yeah, I got destroyed. Also during that match, as Brad searching up a watery grave, he let out like a really frustrated sigh for way too long before playing the White Myojin and killing all of my stuff.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I didn't want to have to show you this. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, the people who act, sound, or get upset when a little thing goes wrong in a game where they just have a massive advantage,
Yeah.
always kind of get me. Like, oh man, you had that removal spell, and like they still have like 4 other guys that you just can't deal with.
I guess I'll play my White Myojin and remove the counter and kill all your stuff and be left with a huge creature. Fine. Yeah.
It's a different game for everyone.
It sure is. Brad is going to go down a little bit lower. This is a Death Shadow game, folks. If Brad's going to get this one done as he's staring down a ley line, it's a Death Shadow game. Here's a Thought Seize. Take a look at Ben's hand. Another ley line. Conflagrate, Faithless Looting, Bloodghast, Pulse, and a Wooded Foothills. This is a weird hand.
It's a strange hand. We see Ben taking a very patient start. He could have gone turn 1 fetch, cast the Faithless Looting. He's taking a slow approach here.
Brad's already down to 10. I think he just wants looting.
Yeah, Faithless Looting or bust here. I mean, there's nothing else that he's worried about. There's nothing else that gives Ben any action.
You know, the only card that would give me pause is the Maelstrom Pulse, but whatever.
I mean, potentially if Brad had a card like Surgical Extraction, he might go after Bloodghast, but it just seems very doubtful.
Serum Visions. He's going to scry 2. We'll see where those are going to go.
Very patient Brad here. One on top, one on bottom.
Wooded Foothills here from Ben.
Oh, we know he had nothing going on.
Mm-hmm. And now Bradshaw and Nile Spellbomb. Pass the turn. Ben will sacrifice land. Gotta imagine he's gonna find a Blick Crypt here because he wants to be able to find some sort of black source.
Yep. Opens up the Maelstrom Pulse.
So just one mystery card. You see, the cards that Brad does know Ben's gonna play face up. Conflagrate, Leyline of the Void, Bloodghast, Maelstrom Pulse. And I didn't get a great look at that mystery card. As Ben and I'll draw another mystery card. To note, as Ben does play a Ghost Quarter, here's a Faithless Looting. Stubborn Denial, I think, is going to take care of that, and it does. To note, Brett Nelson, after game number 1, was given a slow play warning. We'll slow out the gate as he was making some of those decisions.
Yeah, it was real complicated there, but you got to keep playing.
Street Wraith has been cycled for 2 life. Nelson down to 8. Like I said, it's a Death Shadow game. He picked up a copy of Tasker, but he can't do it. What is this? Snapcaster Mage. Ah, yes. Ah, yes.
Vroom.
Mm-hmm.
Start the engine, boys.
Ambush Viper. It is here. Conflagrate for 1. What are we even? What are we even doing? What are we even doing?
And Brad's thinking about this.
He ain't got anything else. Might have to Stubborn Denial this.
Oh, man. How did we get here?
Yep. I mean, this is embarrassing, but this is what happens sometimes.
No, this is great.
Yeah.
When you see cards getting value that's outside of their intended use.
Yep. Snap him again. Yes.
There's more where that came from.
Draw a card. Beatdowns. I love it. Friedman down to 15. Ben just drew a Narcomoeba, maybe?
I believe he drew one last turn. So
Yeah. No, I think he's just drawn 2 in a row. It's just getting... Shield your eyes at home.
Yeah, this is what we wanted for the finals.
Yeah. Ben's just going to pass. Nelson's going to draw. 2 more.
Yep. Getting the job done.
Is it time for a Thoughtseize? Did he find a Death Shadow? Yeah! Okay.
You like that?
Here we go.
This is a big boy.
Look at this. This is ridiculous. Friedman will draw. He's looking at a Maelstrom Pulse. Not sure if it's going to resolve or not. Going to go after Death Shadow. Do we have a Stubborn Denial? Burn. That's countered. Untap. And draw. Another Stubborn Denial in Brad's hand.
Yeah, we might get a game 3 here.
Oh, he found a land. Oh, a fetch land. Oh, yeah. Brad can, let's see, he can fetch, go to 5. Thoughtseize go to 3. I think he's 1 short of lethal.
Okay, then it's likely he just leaves it a 2-turn clock.
Yeah, I think he knows that he's short of lethal. What a ridiculous game. You gotta be kidding me. I think the hand right now is Thoughtseize, Stubborn Denial, and the wildly uncastable Tasker in his hand.
Yeah. It's one of the delve fatties.
Is he gonna Thoughtseize Ben? Yeah, he is. Let's take a look at Ben's hand. 2 Leylines, nice. 2 Narcomoebas, nice. Bloodghast, nice.
Thanks a lot, library.
Bloodstained Mire and a Maelstrom Pulse. That is almost certainly the worst hand I've ever seen.
This is why we play the games,
Yeah,
right?
it sure is. It sure is. You can just light that hand on fire. It is so bad. I think the only card he can take is Maelstrom Pulse. None of the other cards do anything. Yeah. Now, Brad's got to make sure now that he does not die to Conflagrate
Yep.
or a random hasty Bloodghast. Those are the things he needs to be concerned about.
Yeah, and he's not that low yet. And there's really no reason for him to go any lower.
Correct. I think it's going to be, he's just got to do it over 2 turns anyway, so there's no reason to go any lower. One could argue.
And I think Brad was almost thinking about leaving the Maelstrom Pulse in Ben's hand.
Just so he casts it?
Yeah, as long as Ben uses all 3 of his mana casting that, Brad has a counterspell for it. That's the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
This Nile Spellbomb has never come into play.
Not doing much right now. Brad's trying to figure out the best way to go about attacking here. Again, he's got to be very careful with that slow play warning. He gets another one of these. That's bad news bears. All right. Ben Friedman's turn. He's at 4. And he's looking at a hand of complete rubbish, if I'm being honest. It is.
Narcomoeba is so exciting in the library.
It sure is. And Leyline of the Void, you see the upside, enters the battlefield to begin the game, and you see the downside. You can draw it.
Well, often this dredge deck doesn't even care when it draws. It'll churn through it. It'll discard it to Faithless Looting or Cathartic Reunion, but not this game.
Ben will play a Bloodstained Mire.
Looks like he drew a Cathartic Reunion.
Conflagrate. And says, I'm gonna try to kill you. And Brad's got a Stubby D. Oops.
Not sure what the discussion is here.
Yeah, that's gonna counter that. And yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right, Brad won. Yeah. Brad Nelson going to win game number 2 over Ben Friedman. Grixis Death Shadow works its way through a ley line of the Void to send this one to a 3rd and final one here. I don't really have a lot of words for that one.
Yeah, that was one of the more awkward games I've seen in a very long time.
That was Magic, sort of.
Yeah.
I guess sort of we can call it Magic. I'm not. Let's go with sort of Magic. How's that sound? Like kind of Magic. Death Shadow showed up right on time. Brad threw a bunch of Stubborn Isles. Ben didn't draw anything. And, well, there you go.
Yeah, that's why you put Snapcaster Mage in your deck, right?
Yeah, 2-1 Ambush Viper.
Yeah, so you can just keep attacking for 2.
Basically what it's there for.
Yep.
Cedric Phillips, Kirk Rumpel. So we're back in the booth here very quickly. You saw Brad step away from the table. He's using the restroom real quick before his final game of the tournament. Boy. I thought when the ley line came down we were probably done.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Well, we talked if Ben was doing the Nut 7 card, shrug, I'll keep it.
Yep.
It wasn't that.
No.
Wasn't that.
No. I do think you're going to keep a leyline hand against Grixis, all variations of Grixis. Grixis Control, Grixis Delver, Grixis Death Shadow, all that stuff. You're going to keep that card a lot because it does shut down Tasker and Gurmag Angler and Snapcaster Mage and so many things, but it does not stop Death Shadow.
No.
And it did not stop Death Shadow. It was just on Brad to have to actually draw that card. He finally did. He was able to protect it a bunch.
Yep.
With 3 copies of Stubborn Isle, and all of a sudden, we're getting ready for a 3rd one.
Yeah.
So, Ben's on the play this go around. I still think Ben's the favorite.
Yeah, I still like my pick.
Yeah.
We saw things go as bad as possible. It's just so clunky. He's drawing just, extra copies of dead cards that are already in his hand. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine it goes that bad again.
No, those were, as far as draw steps go, those might be the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
We're talking Narcomoebas, additional ley lines. What else was in there? A Bloodghast.
Yeah.
Nice. Just unreal. Unreal. Back to the match. Get ready here. Bloodghast just not doing anything.
Well, even multiple Maelstrom pulses was very awkward.
Yeah, one's good.
Well,
One's good.
he needed to start just churning through his deck. He would have been fine with 0 if he had just one more Faithless Looting.
Yeah, those Stubborn Denials. Really, really good. And now we get ready for the third and final one. Now, do remember, folks, 2 weeks from now, SCG Tour, heading to Charlotte. You're going to have to deal with Craig and I again.
We're running it back.
Yeah, we're going to run it back in Charlotte. We're going to run back modern coverage and everything. So hopefully you enjoyed us this week. And if you didn't, tough. we're gonna be back unless we both get fired within the next 14 days. So we'll let you get ready for that. Charlotte, when's the last time you've been there? I haven't been there for a little bit. It's awesome.
It's been a while since I've been in Charlotte.
Charlotte's great. Star City has held some Grand Prix there. We've done a lot of tournaments there. And for those of you who don't know what's going on there, we'll give you a moment and learn right now. June 10th and the 11th, get down to the Queen City. Maybe you'll run to Ric Flair. Woo! Maybe you won't.
I've heard bad things about Ric Flair.
How could you?
I'm being serious. I have friends that have run into Ric Flair out in the real world, as it were.
Out in the wild.
And I have heard nothing good.
I have run into Ric Flair with Patrick.
Okay.
At a restaurant.
And?
He would not take a photo with me.
Okay.
That does not upset me.
Was it just like, no thanks, man? Or was it like, get the hell away from me?
It was more of a no thanks, man.
Okay.
It was not mean spirited.
Sure.
He was in the Carrabba's that I frequent in Atlanta when I go.
Man with a refined palate.
Much like myself. Great minds think alike. Thank you. Chain Italian for the win. And he was not interested in a photograph. You know what I say to that? Your loss, Rick. Your loss.
He could have gotten a photograph with
me.
A celebrity.
With me.
Yeah.
But he chose not to. Okay? So, take that, guy. Charlotte's great. We'll see you there. June 10th and the 11th. Little modern action. Myself, Craig, Nick Miller, the rest of the SCG Tour team. And then we'll work ourselves into our invitational weekend in Roanoke, Virginia to close out season number 1. But before we get to there, we got to finish here between Ben and Brad.
Yeah, maybe we'll see these two guys again.
Wouldn't surprise me. Would not surprise me. Charlotte not far away from either one of these guys. We're underway. No Leyline of the Void. Brad, you get to use your graveyard.
What might be more important in this game is whether or not Ben gets to use his graveyard.
That's true.
After the last game. Oof.
Yeah, the last game does not look like a dredge deck. Not sure what his deck was.
4-color control.
It's a Bloodstained Mire and a passing the turn. Let's go back over to Ben Friedman now. He'll draw. It takes a little getting used to that this dredge deck is not as explosive as dredge decks in the past.
Yep.
You know, the ones that we've seen in Legacy and Vintage and it's turn 2. I got everything. My whole deck's in the graveyard. And you're basically dead. Like that, it's not that deck anymore.
Yep.
It's still very good. I mean, Ben's in the finals, but it's just not this crazy explosive deck like it once was. Takes a little getting used to, as this is a Bloodstained Mire, and that is a Faithless Looting. Ben being very careful to play around Stubborn Denial. He'll draw 2. We're going to see which ones he wants to discard here.
We've seen Ben be very careful all tournament. He doesn't just dump his best dredge cards right into the graveyard with the first Faithless looting. And I think that's what we've seen again here.
Mm-hmm. The Vengeful Pharaoh and the Dockmore Salvage into the graveyard. Brad's going to sacrifice this this fetch land. He's going to give himself a Watery Grave. That's going to be untapped. Down to 17 he goes. You know the drill. He's got to bring that life total low to make Death Shadow relevant. That's how he won the last game. That's how he might intend to win this one.
See if there's a Thought Scour here.
There is. 2 cards to the graveyard. Serum Visions and a Scalding Tarn. Thought Scour goes there as well. Now Brad will draw. It's a Thoughtseize, as Brad's going to fall down to 13. Ben's hand is, well,
It has cards.
it has cards in it.
Yes.
Cathartic Reunion, Life in the Loam, and lands.
Yep. That reunion was an important one.
Yes, it was, and it got taken. Now, to be fair, Ben can do some dredging here, and you got to remember that this is not the explosive dredge deck, of years past.
Well, and we've seen him have slow starts before, where, you know, it's not turn 3 like you said with all the creatures on the board, but turn 5 it can happen.
Yeah.
And if Brad doesn't have some pressure, the game's going to go that long. We see a new addition to this deck.
Yeah, one of those cycling lands,
The
huh?
Canyon Slough.
Yes. Nice little addition. Not got to play a ton of them, but it's nice to have 1 or 2.
Yeah, it's just a little more value that the deck picks up.
Brad currently with his copy of Izzet Staticaster in hand. Also has his Nile Spellbomb. And we can't forget that he is playing, I think, some number of Surgicals this weekend. Maybe not, actually.
Correct, 2.
Yeah, 2 in the board. Excuse me. And Brad's going to be prompted to make a decision. Remember, he's already got 1 slow play warning. And he's going to play his Nile Spellbomb, it looks like.
Yeah, now the decision is if he wants to use it right away.
Mm-hmm.
Really thought about it there. Decides not to.
Amalgam, Pulse, go to the graveyard.
Yeah, that was a tough spot for Brad. You really don't want to let the dredge deck start dredging at all.
Mm-hmm.
But you're only getting a Dockmore Salvage. It's not a very good, it's like, all right, I'll let him get the dredge 2.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because it's only dredge 2, so you're thinking, well, it's not the end of the world. It's not that much. So I'll let you risk it. He did get an amalgam.
Yeah.
For it, so he doesn't get to draw a card with Nile Spellbound, but it does feel like, well, I got a little something.
Yeah, I think it's more than a little something. It slows down the life from the loam.
And he's working with really good information. He knows his opponent's hand.
Yeah.
From the Thoughtseize last turn, so he knows that Ben doesn't really have much going on. Now here's Copperline Gorge.
I think Ben just has to get that life from the loam into the graveyard.
Start getting that train rolling.
He's got to dredge something.
Ben's just going to pass the turn back. We're going to go over to Brad. Brad will very quickly draw. I think he may have found a Gurmag Angler. That's why he's reaching for the graveyard already.
Looks like it.
Yep, and there is the Zombie Fish.
That was a good one.
He'll pass the turn back with Stubby D and Fatal Push at the ready. Friedman will draw. I hear stinkweed him. We call it hard mode.
Yeah, that guy will block all day.
Yep, we call it hard mode. You want to kill it, that's fine. You don't, you can't attack.
Yeah, this is like Vengeful Pharaoh, but in play.
Yeah, basically. Ben does not mind if this goes to the graveyard. He would hate to see this thing be enchanted by pacifism. That would be worst case scenario. But Brad, we know you don't have any of those. So Nelson will draw. He'll cycle a Street Wraith. Another copy of Stubborn Denial. We know Nelson has a copy of Death Shadow in hand.
Yeah,
so
with
here comes Death Shadow.
Ben doing nothing, you know, Brad has the time to accumulate 1 or 2 or 3, you know, other big creatures on the board to start attacking through this.
Mm-hmm. If Ben's never going to get this dredge train rolling, as here's Life in the Loam, it's no big deal. Now, Brad is going to Stubborn Denial this one because Ben wanted to get back Canyon Slough and maybe cycle it.
Yeah.
And really start the dredge party. And Brad said, I can't let you do that. Shelter Thicket, excuse me.
Yeah, that's my fault. Wrong one.
Ah, yes. Narcomoeba. Snapcaster makes a draw for Brad. What Brad really needs is land 3.
Yep.
That'd be the biggest thing for him. Fetch lands are always good now with Death Shadow out on the battlefield, looking to lower his life to start reducing Ben's. But he hasn't been able to do that yet. So now all Brad can do, it looks like, is pass the turn back with a pretty full hand. We're going over to Friedman. He'll dredge loam. Amalgam, Thug, Gemstone Mine.
All right, it's a start.
Anything's a start compared to what he was doing before. Loam is going to be countered again here by Brad.
And it's almost like he got time walked 2 turns in a row.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not that big of a deal as long as Brad can't be attacking.
Well, Brad might be able to start attacking soon. He picked up a copy of Kozilek's Return. But he just can't start attacking yet. Such a strange spot to be in if you're Nelson. You'd love to be able to start working your way through these knuckleheads, but Ben would love to have Stinkweed Imp in the graveyard.
And he would love to trade it with one of your fatties.
Yeah. So Nelson's just going to pass a turn back. Friedman will dredge loam again. Conflagrate, Leyline of the Void, Stomping Ground. He'll try again.
Round 3.
Yeah. Then with a little smile, I was saying, are you kidding me? Is this going to resolve? Nope. Stubborn Denial is sitting here countering Life from the Loam, folks. Ben has infinite Life from the Loams. Brad has 4 Stubborn Denials. And there's a Polluted Delta. Finally, for Brad Nelson. He's done the impossible. He's drawn a land. And this turns on his entire hand. This does so much right now, Craig. Fatal Push, it turns on that entire card.
Yeah, the Kozilek's Return is huge here.
Snapcaster Mage plus a 1 mana spell. And the one card that we haven't even really talked about that's in Nelson's hand is its Staticaster.
Yep.
And that can even clear the way a little bit now, too. Now, Brad is going to take a little time to think about this turn, but we got to mention again that slow play warning that he does have. Now, he cannot take too much time to think about this turn. Because if memory serves, a second slow play warning leads to a first game loss.
You're a rules expert now.
I am not a judge. I am not a judge.
Yeah, I give you a hard time, but obviously we don't want to see that happen here.
No. And there is the head judge on one side of the table, and you see Abe Corzin behind Brad. And Brad's a veteran of this game. He knows. But there is a lot to think about. Now that he's drawn the third land, there is a ton to think about. So I can understand why he is in the proverbial tank right now, as it were. Looks like he's going to start by sacrificing this polluted delta. We think. A lot of decisions with this deck, folks. And now this entire hand has been opened up. It gets even harder.
Yeah, this is a tough spot.
Yeah. He'll get another watery grave.
You know, he really wants to open up the board and just start smashing his opponent.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't want to tap out. You know, he has access to Snapcaster and Stubborn Denial right now, which is great. He doesn't want to put the Stinkweed into the opposing graveyard.
Yep.
You know, he's got to worry about that Conflagrate, so he doesn't want to deal too much damage to himself.
Because he doesn't want to just get fireballed out.
Yeah, there's just so many things in play here.
Yeah, this is a... I'm not envious of Brad's position. I'm happy if I'm Brad because I drew a third land.
Yeah.
But having to figure out what to do now when so much has changed, yeah, I would not be envious of the position. There's Kozilek's return.
All right, and he's going to go...
I mean, he's going super aggro now.
Yeah. This is probably just his best line, but it's so dangerous.
I think it's the most time-saving line, if that's a weird thing to say.
Well, it gives Ben as few dredges as possible.
It's also the situation where it's like, okay, this is the play that I can make that, like, okay, I just need to play.
Sure.
I just need to make a decision.
There might be a better line in here somewhere, but it's going to take me a long time to figure it out.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean a long time because there's so much to weigh. And now there's a lot for Ben to weigh because he is more or less facing lethal next turn.
Yep.
So Ben's going to dredge 3. Haunted, Dead, Bloodghast, and a land from the Life in the Loam. He's going to cast Life in the Loam.
Yep. And that's going to give him another draw set, so to speak, when he cycles the land.
If he does cycle the land. That's the tricky part, because the cycling on the land is 2 mana. So there's the 3 lands. It's not like back in the day with those Tranquil Thickets and stuff. Just a singleton mana, which wouldn't make a world of difference right now. But he might cycle the land and dredge Loam. I'm not sure.
Well, this time he can go for the dredge 5 if he wants to.
Mm-hmm. He could go for dredge 5, hope to hit a Narcomoeba.
Yep.
Find some blockers that way.
Well, the Haunted Dead.
We can't forget about that, yeah. Which would bring back the Amalgam.
Yep.
Which, you know, this is tough for each player.
Yes. I would expect him to dredge 5 here, rebuy the Haunted Dead, and then be in a position to potentially kill Brad on the next turn.
Okay. Yeah, remember, Brad's hand is pretty darn good, too, right now. That's what makes this spot tough.
And if something ridiculous happened, like he hit 2 more vampires,
2 more Bloodghast, yeah.
he could end the game on this turn.
Yeah?
Play land, get back multiple Bloodghasts.
Yeah, if they're still in there, that's totally in play. I mean, it depends on how good the dredge is. We'll find out right now. Top 5. Cathartic Reunion, Prized Amalgam, Narcomoeba, Maelstrom
that
Pulse,
was good.
Stinkweed Imp. There's Narcomoeba. That's what the doctor ordered. There will be Prized Amalgam triggers. This is a mountain. That's going to bring back Bloodghast, which is hasty. Amalgams are going to come back soon. That's why you see Ben bring those forward. And right now, he's only got a couple cards in hand, so it's not a very large Conflagrate. It will be next turn.
Yep.
assuming that Ben gets the next turn. And I think it's looking more and more likely that he will.
Well, and I think Ben wants to attack with the blood gas here.
I think he'd love to attack. Well, yes and no. You do that, you make Death Shadow a bit more angry.
Well, Brad needs to get all the blockers out of the way as it is.
Okay.
You know, it doesn't matter how big Death Shadow is at this point. If both the creatures get through, he's still going to die.
Ben's got one Narcomoeba hanging back, but we can't forget about the Haunted Dead.
Yeah, the Haunted Dead is the real trick here.
Yep. I think he's going to return Haunted Dead now. So I think we're looking at a situation here, folks, that if Brad Nelson draws a land, he wins. He's got Fatal Push in hand, and he has his Static Caster.
Okay, or the Snapcaster Mage.
So draw. And...
Oh, Brad.
It's a fetch!
Super close this game.
Whew.
Yeah, and he's still...
And he just wants to make sure no mistakes are made.
Yeah, he's real excited, but he's still going to make sure.
He's going to get a basic Swamp. He'll shuffle and present. Push will take care of Narcomoeba or the Spirit. Static Caster will take care of the other. You can do it with Snapcaster. You can do it that way, and that's going to get it done.
Oh.
Brad Nelson is going to win this game and match here over Ben Friedman. Grixis Death Shadow will take care of Dredge. And ladies and gentlemen, we have our SCG Baltimore champion,